Fazza, the eternal mirage of love. English emotional poetry. In the golden silence of Dubai's twilight, where the dunes whisper secrets to the wind, he stands, Fazza, the poet prince, the eternal mirage of love. His eyes, deep as the desert night, hold the reflection of every unspoken feeling, of every soul who ever searched for meaning in the language of the heart. There are men who rule lands, and there are men who rule hearts. But he does both quietly, gracefully, like the way moonlight rules over darkness without ever trying. Sheikh Hamdan, known to the world as Fazza, is not merely a name. He is a pulse that beats within the poems he writes, within the lives he touches, and within the winds that carry his words beyond the palaces and past the sands. He writes not with ink, but with ache. His verses are born from longing, the kind that does not fade with fame or fortune. They are tender wounds wrapped in rhythm. If love is a mirage, he once wrote, then let me wander thirsty forever. Each word feels like a step through the endless desert of devotion, shimmering, unreachable yet alive with promise. People read his poetry and think they see him, but he is not there. He is between the lines, hidden like a secret prayer, felt but never fully known. Every sunrise, he walks by the stables, his hand brushing against the neck of his horse, whispering softly in Arabic, a language of both majesty and mercy. Those who watch from afar say they feel something stirring, not in the air, but within themselves, because Fazza's silence speaks louder than speeches, and his smile carries the sadness of 1,000 sunsets. He writes of love that transcends form, not just for a woman, but for the divine, for destiny, for the fleeting beauty of life itself. His pen does not chase attention. It chases truth. In a world of noise, he remains a quiet storm, calm on the outside, thunderous within. Sometimes late at night he stands on his balcony, the city glittering beneath him like a sea of fallen stars. He gazes toward the horizon as if searching for someone he once lost to time. His heart remembers every echo, every glance that never became a touch, every word that trembled but was never said. And yet there is no bitterness in him, only grace. He believes that love never truly leaves. It just changes form, becoming wind, memory, or verse. Dubai breathes his spirit. The sands that cradle his footsteps know the rhythm of his heart. The falcons that soar above his head carry his longing into the endless blue. To the world he is a prince, to his people a poet, but to the soul he is a mirage, always close, yet always beyond reach. They call me Fazza, he once whispered to the wind, but I am only a servant of love. If my words heal, it is because I have bled. There is something eternal about such a someone who can turn silence into symphony, solitude into song. His life itself feels like a poem, half. The night deepens over Dubai, soft as velvet and heavy with secrets. In the palace courtyard, the lamps burn low, their golden glow trembling like the heart of a man who has loved too deeply. Fazza sits by the window, pen in hand, eyes lost in the reflection of stars on the water. The ink before him waits, but the words, they arrive slowly, as if afraid to break the fragile stillness of his soul. He remembers her, not by name, not by face, for those are mortal things, but by feeling. The way silence felt different when she was near, the way his laughter found its echo only when she smiled. She was never meant to stay. Perhaps love's truest form is always fleeting. Yet even now, years later, her absence has not left. It has simply become part of him, like a hidden scar beneath royal robes. How strange, he writes, that the heart forgets faces but not feelings. I cannot recall her eyes, yet I still remember how they made me feel, like sunrise after endless dusk. Outside, the desert wind hums the same melody it has carried for centuries. Fazza closes his eyes. In that whispering sound, he hears verses waiting to be born. For poetry is not what he writes, it is what he breathes. It comes to him not from thought, but from ache. Each word a confession, each line a prayer. He could have hidden behind his titles, behind gold and tradition. But instead he chose truth, soft, unguarded, pure. His poems speak of longing, not luxury, of hope, not hierarchy. And his people love him not for his crown, but for his courage to feel. In every verse he reminds them that even princes bleed, that even in palaces hearts break quietly. He once wrote, "Do not pity the lonely heart. It is the only one that truly knows love." His falcon, perched nearby, spreads its wings suddenly, as though sensing the tremor of emotion in its master. Fazza looks at it and smiles faintly. That bird, wild and loyal, is his mirror, free yet bound to something invisible. Perhaps love and freedom are never truly apart. Perhaps they are the same sky seen from different sides of the heart. As dawn approaches, he walks to the balcony once more. The city below sleeps, unaware that their prince carries 1,000 unspoken stories. The call to prayer begins to rise in the distance, soft and pure. Fazza closes his eyes, letting the sound wash over him like forgiveness. In that moment, he understands that pain is not the enemy. It is the proof that love once lived. He whispers to the morning, "If she ever hears my name in the wind, let her know I never forgot. I only learned to love her in silence." The first light of day touches his face, and for a heartbeat, he looks almost celestial. Not a man, but the embodiment of love itself, a mirage that promises beauty and heartbreak in the same breath. The eternal paradox of every poet. To give the world joy while carrying his own sorrow in secret. And somewhere beyond the desert horizon, the years pass like wind through dunes, shaping, erasing yet never truly destroying. Time changes everything except the heart that loves in silence. Fazza, the prince of poetry, the eternal mirage of love, has learned to walk through life with quiet grace, wearing peace upon his face while a storm still dances beneath his ribs. His verses now travel farther than he ever could, from palaces to pages, from whispers to worlds. His poetry has become a sanctuary for countless souls. But even as fame and reverence grow around him, he remains humble, a wanderer in his own emotions. One evening, during a cultural event in Dubai, the air filled with music and laughter. Poets, artists, dreamers, all gathered to celebrate words. Fazza arrived not as a prince, but as a poet among poets. His heart, as always, was calm on the outside, yet trembling within. And then, destiny breathed her name back into his life. Across the hall he saw her, the woman his heart had never truly let go of. She was older now, like him. Time had touched her gently, leaving grace instead of sorrow. She wore a soft smile, unaware that the eyes watching her had once written entire worlds in her memory. The crowd disappeared. The lights dimmed. Only the echo of her presence filled his world. She turned, sensing something. Perhaps the weight of an unfinished story. Perhaps the whisper of a familiar soul. Their eyes met. In that instant, time folded back upon itself, returning them both to the first moment their souls had recognized each other. No words were spoken. None were needed. Every poem he had written had already said what his heart could not. When the event ended, she approached him, calm, composed, but her eyes glimmered with the softness of old memories. "Your words," she said quietly, "still carry the same heart." He smiled a little sadly. "And yours still carry the same silence," he replied. Between them hung the weight of everything they had never said. The years apart had not dulled their bond. It had deepened it, turned it sacred. Love, they both understood now, was not about having. It was about remembering. They spoke for hours under the silver moonlight, not as lovers reunited, but as souls finally at peace. She told him she had read every poem, felt every heartbeat he'd ever penned. "You taught me," she whispered, "that love doesn't end when people part. It only changes shape." He nodded. "It becomes poetry," he said softly. "And poetry never dies." When dawn came, she stood to leave. The horizon glowed like a promise unspoken. He watched her go. This time not with sorrow, but with gratitude. For love had returned, not to stay, but to bless. As she disappeared into the sunrise, Fazza closed his eyes and whispered to the desert wind. "Some hearts do not belong to us, yet they live within us forever. If love is a mirage, then she was the reflection that taught me to believe." That morning he returned to his chamber and,